Hello, welcome to session 5 of SQL Zero to Hero, January 16th, 2025. Today, continuing our lessons, we're going to talk about views mostly and something called a CTE or common table expression. It really means a temporary table is what it means, and also some case statements. So what is a view? A view is a database view is a virtual table that provides a user-friendly representation of data from one or more underlying tables. It simplifies complex queries and data access. The syntax to create a simple view looks something like this. Create view name as and a SQL statement after that. So we'll look at a simple example. In our database, what we know is that, looking at the tables here, is that we've got a customer table. And if we just look at that customer table, we'll see is that we don't have a city and a state. We have a zip. The city and state is held in a separate table called city. But if I want to get all of my customers in their full addresses, which would include city and state, what do I have to do? I have to do a join. Take something like this here and then do a join. And let's just go over here, do a join. So I can say select, let's say c dot star, and we'll use some aliases here. CZ for zip dot city, CZ dot state. Okay, from customer, C, then we'll say join city, I'm called CZ for city zip, on C dot zip is equal to CZ dot zip. Zip. Now, if I execute this, I get my combined query. If this is something I'm doing all the time, I can create a view out of it. So I don't have to worry about retyping this all the time. I can do this here. I can say create view, customer, say city as, and go ahead and do that. Now I should create the view. Now, if I go down here under views, I should see it. I have to do a refresh here to see it. Do I have to, yeah, there it is. Now, no, I don't have to, I can just now type select star from the view and I get all that. Now, what's important to note is a view is not a new table, nor is the view storing data. The view only stores the query that generates the data. So you don't have redundant data. You're not storing the data a second time. When you go in here and you go to alter view, what you see is the query. That's it. So you're basically taking a query, you're giving it a name, and you're saving it on the database. And that's essentially what a view is, right? And it simplifies life. So some of the benefits. It simplifies complex queries. Now, that wasn't too complex of a query. We're going to look at some more complex queries. And you'll see a lot of times the data has to be used by different departments, maybe a billing department, an accounting department, a marketing department, stuff like that, where the people there may only know very basic SQL. And by creating a view out of a more complex query, it's easy for those only semi-technical people now, because now all they have to do is do a select against a view name, and it's very straightforward. Data access. With the view, you're limiting what the end user that's using the view can see. You're limiting columns, you could be limiting rows as well. So that gives you some additional security because you're only including the columns and rows necessary, hiding any sensitive data. Abstraction. The view hides the source tables and the columns from prying eyes. So right now, looking at this, if I execute this view, you don't know what tables are underlying. Now, the column names happen to be the same, but if I wanted to give it a different name, I could, right? I could have said, gave this a different name. This is first name. I could have made this something like first, maybe actually make it look, the other thing is you can make it look nicer for reports. Do something like this, last name. So let's just go ahead and apply this. And we'll execute it again. I didn't like something. Oh, there it is. So now you can see that's not the actual column name. That's first space name. It's different. All the same thing with all these fields can be given a different name. Birthday can be date of birth. You can say they'll call that date of birth, right? Instead of birthday, you can say, okay, that's a date of birth, right? Like something like that. So by renaming the columns, you're doing a couple of things. One is you're hiding the actual name of the column. They don't know what tables it's coming from. Now we've renamed some of the columns, so they don't even know the column names. Now you're also making this look a little bit nicer because this data, this view may be providing data to a report, an end report. So you're actually, giving it a nicer name for output purposes or reporting purposes. So that's abstraction. They can also include derived or calculated data, including aggregates. We're going to get into in a moment. You can limit access to third parties. So if you have a third-party partner that needs to get some of your data, you can limit, again, what data they can get with the view, because you can give access to the view without giving permission or access to the underlying source tables of the view. So there's a lot of benefits to views. Here's a more complex query. Now, here we're doing, we're joining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tables. Let's just go ahead and execute this query as is. Okay, it's pretty complex. Now, again, maybe this is for a accounting department or marketing or whatever, and they're not going to know how to do a complex query with all these joins. Plus, you're also showing everything you need here. So what we do here is we create this view. Create view, customer purchases. I'm going to take that part here. Go back over. So now we're creating the view. Oops, what did I do wrong? Copy that. Here. Now I may already have this view. Look, okay, I've already got the view here. I'm just going to go ahead and drop it. So give me an error. It's already there. Okay, it's gone. So I create it. And it looks like it created the view. Customer purchases. Right there, it gives you the same data. But now it's much simpler. Right? This is from here. Again, there's 5 tables that make up this view. You're not disclosing any of those table names because of the view. Now the column names, yes, but I can go in and rename these column names like first name to first space name, last name to last space. I can rename all of the columns too. So you can hide that. Right? Date, place, you can make it look nicer too. Like we did that with product name. So a lot of benefits to views. Simplifies the data. It hides information from prying eyes. None of those 5 table names are exposed. They don't see these from customer, city, order line, product. All they see is that name there, view customer purchases. That's it. That's all they see. And that's all you want them to see. Now, this one here is a complex one. Now we're using some aggregates here. And this is going to, we've got a query right here. We'll run this query, before we create the name. This is like a sales report. It's using aggregates, count, sum, average, min, max. All right. And we're not going to create the view just yet. We'll just, actually, I don't know if I got it here. Let's see. There we go. There we go. We'll just run this view. And we get some information, some sales summary data. This is something that it could be an accounting department, marketing department, or whatever that needs this information. They're not going to be savvy enough to know this, all these, aggregates and halving and group by. What's that? So again, for simplicity and also for security, we create a view out of it. Go ahead and execute that one. Okay, that view already exists. That's why I got the error. There's no sales report. I'd have to drop it first. Drop view. Okay, now I can recreate it. Okay, good. Created. Go refresh here. Come down to our view sales report. And there it is. It gave us the same thing. Very simple. Restrict columns. So in this query, we were restricting columns. Now in this one here, you can see right here, we're giving it nicer names here. Now we could have did the same thing for short description, just stick a space in there or something, or maybe just description. Just call it just a description for the purpose of the report. So here, these are all called derived or calculated columns, right? Total sales does not exist in the database anywhere. It is calculated by using the sum function. Same thing with count, average, min, max. Those 5 columns do not exist anywhere in the database. They are calculated columns. And calculated columns can be included in the view. The end user that's using the view has no idea that it's a calculated column because the view completely hides all that. So this is the same one. We're just running this thing, showing you that same report. We created a view out of this one already. Okay, derived. Here's one. Now, here's name. We'll go ahead and do this one here. Execute this one. Ah. Okay. Full name does not exist. It's a derived column based on concatenating last name, a comma, space, and the first name. And again, here, this is kind of ugly. You might want to just do something here like not even full name, you just say customer name. All right, go ahead and execute that. Now I can take this right here. One of the things I could do is I can go back to my customer purchases. I modify it. I'm going to go in and alter it. Maybe I say, well, you know what? I don't need that. And let's just put in just their full name like that. Okay. And I'm going to put a comma there. Apply. Done. Now, if I do a right click and I say, go ahead and look at it. So we have a customer name. Now, customer name does not exist anywhere in the database. That is a derived column based on concatenating the last name and first name together and separating with a comma. Okay. Now it's CTE. Common table expressions. Call the CTE. It's really just a temporary table that's created. And this can be done with a subquery as well, but the CTE can be more efficient and cleaner. If the subquery needs to be executed, you need the data from that subquery multiple times, it's got to be re-executed every time. With the temporary table, it only gets executed once. So what we're doing here could have just as easily been done with a subquery, but the CTE can be more efficient. Here's a CTE. CTE products as this query, right? Everything that's in here. So this is a temporary table that gets created. And then later down here, the second query from customer, I'm joining to that temporary table, CTE underscore products above, based on the key, the customer key. And this is giving us order information, and then we're joining it to the customer. We take this whole thing here. Temporary tables are nice, but not very often you really need to use them. And we execute this, and we get output, similar output from the last time. So those are CTEs. Okay, there's the output. CTEs, what are the advantages of them? Simplicity. Performance. CTE are held in memory, so less I/O, right? So if you need the same data from multiple times, it's only executed once. If you're using a subquery, the subquery is executed every time. Makes the code more readable. Yeah, makes it more readable. Subqueries can get really confusing and not readable at all. So CTEs are more readable. CT reference the results multiple times throughout the query by storing the results of the subquery. So yes, you can reference the data multiple times without having to re-execute the query. That's what makes it more efficient. CTs help you perform multi-level aggregations. Now, one of the things you want to do that the CTE is made up of two parts. One is the temporary table, which is created by a subquery. And the other is any SQL statements that want to use it. This can get confusing. You don't really want to save these in a file somewhere on a computer and go looking for it and copying and paste in. What you should be doing with the CTEs is something called a stored procedure, which there's going to be another lesson coming up. The entire lesson will be spent on stored procedures, maybe more than one lesson, because it's a complex issue and it's an important one. Stored procedures are very beneficial. What is a stored procedure? It allows you to store procedural code on the database, and you can embed it with SQL statements. So let's go down here. I think I already created this one. I got a few of them here. We're gonna spend an entire session or two on stored procedures. So here it is right here. Here's the CTE, and here's the underlying query that ultimately uses it. Now, to execute this, let's go ahead and do it. All you have to do is say call and the name of the stored procedure. Now, this is also my database in there. We didn't really need that. That's all you got to do. And then you get that same result we got last time, but it's a lot cleaner. A lot cleaner. What else would you do if it's a CTE is something you have to execute multiple times? Store it in a file? That doesn't make any sense. That's not maintainable. Stored procedure is what makes sense. And again, there's going to be an entire session or two on stored procedures because it is a big topic. So this is called the stored procedure right there. Now the when is allows you to do take a value, look at a value, and transpose it into something or transform it into something else based on a condition. In programming languages, this would be similar to an if statement. So here's an example. If we look at our items table, let's look at the items table. There we go. Okay, we have category ID. What is that? I have no idea. Category ID 1, category ID 2. So one thing you could do is you could use a when clause where it says when category ID equals 1, then computers. When it's equal to 2, then clothing. Let's just go put it in here. Okay. Now, the next thing you can do, you can create a view out of this. You say, I like that. You can create a view. So let's see, what is this? View items, I guess. Create view items as. Create a view out of it. Go into the refresh. And where you should have refreshed. Oh, looking in the wrong place. Go look into views. View items. So any SQL statement, any select statement can be saved as a view. Any of them, doesn't matter. They can all be saved as a view. So that's it for this session. Post whatever comments you have down, questions you have in the comment section. I do monitor them. I'll try to answer them. Also, remember to like and subscribe to my channel or visit me on my website, www.appjedi.net. So next, as I said, there's going to be an entire session or two on stored procedures. Also, some other things coming up are date functions, string functions, numeric functions. And that is it for today. Thank you. See you next time.